Let me ask you something. Have you ever had someone look you in the eyes, someone you loved, and tell you that you weren't enough? Because that's exactly what my ex did. He told me I was too dumb for him, too unscientific, and not pretty enough anymore. What he didn't know was that I was about to burn his entire life, his career, his grant, his reputation, straight to the ground. And I never even had to break a single rule to do it. When I met Jake in the mid-90s, I thought I'd stumbled into fate. He was 23, finishing college, brilliant, charming, the kind of guy who could talk for hours about animal behavior and make it sound poetic. I was younger, working full-time, planning my next move. And somehow, without planning it, we both ended up moving 3,000 miles across the country, ending up just 90 minutes apart. We fell hard, fast, and stupidly deep. Jake's siblings welcomed me immediately. His sisters were kind, funny, warm. They felt like the family I'd always wanted. I was at Jake's place every weekend, eating cheap tacos, helping him care for the animals he bred for extra cash. He was a PhD student in animal science, always surrounded by cages, tanks, and research papers. But I didn't mind. This was love, right? One afternoon, we're lying in his bed, half dressed after being intimate. The room smells like warm sheets and late summer. And out of nowhere, Jake says, "I think you've been gaining weight. It's getting harder for me to be attracted to you." I didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't beg. I sat up and said, "Then maybe keep something other than crackers and cheese in this house." He blinked like I'd slapped him. He expected insecurity. What he got was logic. When he doubled down, "When you lose weight, it'll fix it." I simply said, "I'm not doing that. So what are you going to do?" And just like that, the conversation died. I didn't know it yet, but this was his cowardly attempt to make me break up with him. Because he was hiding something far worse. 3 months later, he calls. Dry, cold, almost robotic. "I want to break up," he says. "Why? You don't know enough about science." I laughed. Out loud. "Because really?" I demanded the truth. And finally, he cracked. He'd been sleeping with one of his 19-year-old undergrad students. A girl named Meg. His own student. He was 26. She was a teenager. I threw him out, screamed until my voice shook, and when the door slammed behind him, my rage turned into hysterical laughter. Because guess what? Meg was a size 18. I was a size 6. He didn't want someone skinnier. He wanted someone less intimidating. His weight comments? Just an excuse. Just cowardice. I emailed his roommates, mostly to be polite. They replied instantly. And guess what? They were the ones who forced him to confess. They were ready to tell me themselves because they were disgusted. One of them, George, kind, sweet, adorable, offered to help me collect the rest of my things, and asked if I wanted to come up for a weekend of drinking and fun. Jake had always insisted going out was a waste of money. So I said yes. I arrived, Jake gone, Meg around. George let me in. I gathered my things. And then I did something that changed everything. I took photos of Jake's animals. All of them. Why? Because I knew something Jake didn't think I had noticed. He had an endangered animal without proper paperwork. He had an animal that was straight up illegal in that state. His breeding setup was overcrowded and unsafe. I snapped every angle, every enclosure, every illegal tank. And then, George and I went out drinking. We stumbled home, loudly, laughing, tipsy, my dress rumpled, straight past Jake and Meg on the couch. George was a complete gentleman, but we made sure they heard the implication. The next morning, as I ate a donut in front of them, hair messy, dress wrinkled, George kissed the top of my head and beamed. Jake sneered. "You don't have to act like a whore." I told him, calm as a saint, "Have fun with my leftovers," and walked out. At the time, I thought that was my revenge. Oh no, that was just foreplay. The next day, I developed the photos and called Fish and Wildlife. I filed a full, documented report. The illegal animals. The endangered animal without paperwork. Overcrowded breeding conditions. The fact that one illegal species was visible from the street. Meanwhile, George filed a complaint with the university. Jake, a TA, was sleeping with his student. In a small program, gossip spreads like wildfire. Jake's reputation crumbled in days. A few weeks later, George called me. Giddy. Laughing. Fish and Wildlife was in the house. Confiscating animals. Investigating. Asking questions. Meg tried to claim everything was Jake's, clearing the roommates. They returned with a warrant later and seized all breeding animals. All that remained were some guppies in a tank. Jake lost thousands of dollars of animals that day. And he didn't even know I had been the one to set it all in motion. Jake had just won a major EPA research grant. So I called the EPA. Calmly. Professionally. How would I report that a federal grant recipient is being investigated for illegal possession of endangered species? Jake lost. His EPA grant. His funding. His scholarship. His teaching job. His breeding animals. His reputation. He owed thousands in restitution and fines. He avoided jail, barely. But his academic career? Dead on arrival. He left the program with a master's instead of a PhD. And he never knew why. I moved on. Got my own master's. Specializing in helping scientists communicate with non-scientists. Funny, right? The girl who was too dumb for science ended up bridging the gap between scientists and the public. I built a career I love, traveling, lecturing, working with government agencies, museums, medical professionals, TV producers. Jake married Meg. They had kids. He went back to breeding animals. Legally this time, I assumed. His sisters stayed my friends. His family eventually learned the real story, 10 years later, and they weren't pleased. 20 years passed. I was giving a lecture to a room full of undergrad and grad students when I heard a voice behind me. Hey OP. Long time no see. It was Jake. I froze. My stomach dropped. And then I did the only thing my dignity allowed. I pretended not to know him. At all. Oh. Sorry, have we met? His face cracked. He was stunned. Later that evening, the department told me Jake was interviewing for a teaching position. I didn't even mean to, but I scoffed. Then I told them the truth. The student relationship. The scholarship loss. The scandal. Their faces drained. A week later, my old friend Mary called. Someone doing his background check had looked up his old file. The misconduct letters. His dismissal. His arrest record. Everything. He wasn't getting the job. And this time? I didn't lift a single finger. Jake sat in that audience watching me succeed in the world. He thought I was too stupid to belong in. He tried to hug me. I smiled politely and walked away. He tried to rebuild his career. And the truth caught up with him without me lifting a hand. Karma didn't just knock on his door. I left the receipts 20 years earlier. And they were still valid. What I learned is simple. If someone who claims to love you criticizes your body, your intelligence, your worth, that's their flaw speaking, not yours. And if they're hiding something behind their words, the truth always finds a way out. Sometimes it just needs a little nudge. Like the video and subscribe. More real stories are coming.